Batgirl issue 9, Brian Q. Miller writing with Lee Gerbett on the art. Start of the new arc, which brings in the Calculator by the end of the issue.
Yeah, also brought in Glapion on the inks, who I don't think has been on it before. And I thought it was actually really noticeable that he has a lot sharper inks than I'm accustomed to on this book, and it makes some stuff really pop. I like it.
Steph's dealing with a random train, like bomber, the classic hot dogs round the waist look, as she puts it. And Batgirl's in pursuit. But that's the thing. This is like a really serious like scene, and obviously the threat's serious. But her like sort of bumping around the train track as she's like complaining that she has to like work on her upper body strength for the grappling. Yeah. It's pretty fun.
That's one of those panels where I mentioned how I like how sharp the inks look on it. Looks really clean.
I actually really like the panel on the next page where her like sort of like her infrared vision, like she's got like the like her cowl eyes have like been covered with, it's basically what in Dark Knight when he gets the radio, like the sonar vision.
Blue glow.
Yeah, there's the little screens that pop up over the eyes. It looks really good. And she slips in wonderful panels of like her kicking the bad guy when she comes in. She's mostly in shadow. Looks really good. This is mostly good art stuff and good banter. But everyone claps, everyone cheers for her, and Commissioner Gordon comes up to speak to her afterwards, and she's like freaking out on the inside, as she often does. And she's like, you know what? I stopped a bomber, no collateral damage. I got an attaboy from the commish. Like, she's all happy, and then it starts raining because this is the storm arc, so it makes sense. But it's really good. It kind of sums up the humor. Like, she's doing better. She's getting better at being Batgirl, but she's that type of character that Peter Parker-esque where okay, something's going to happen just to kill the mood.
Always something goes wrong.
Yeah, has to be. So it sets up the Wendy stuff. It explains that Wendy's father's Calculator and what happened to her brother. Babs kind of explains some of this in her narration.
This is just before I get to that, really quickly, I really like the caption box at the top of this page. Where it's like half an inch of rain later. It's a pretty unique way of showing the time passing in terms of just X amount of time later. It's.
I think
it feels unique to this story.
It feels unique, but I think what makes it work is that it's a method, because it's not so much about being fancy with how you say time has passed. I don't think that really matters all that much. I think what makes it matter and what makes it work is that it uses the description of time passing to re-enhance the atmosphere it's going for, because the atmosphere it wants is that there's a storm, and that kind of keeps that flowing. No pun intended. It's just
a small touch, but it works. So, and then this is something else where it had been a while since I've read this, but a long time, so I'd kind of forgotten the relationship here between Wendy and the Calculator. And Arrow really just stole up a whole load of stuff for Felicity from this, didn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. Wait, so
because it was bad enough they had to steal from Babs. But
yeah, I was actually thinking, what is Wendy actually more the inspiration for Felicity than anyone else is? Was that like the origin point?
She like a combo between the two.
Yeah. So no, it really sets up some of the backstory stuff here, so that when it pops up later, it's not like out of the blue, and we understand it, and it makes some sense. Steph meets Wendy, not for the first time exactly, but the first time Steph remembers meeting her. as the point is. But we enter to a crime scene, a unique crime scene where like it has to be a murder, but no one else could have been there, so it's essentially has to be some kind of weird suicide. And it's Nick who's on it. Gordon gives this to Nick, our recurring cop character.
It's like, hey, you want some weird stuff? Here you go.
Yeah. And we have Babs working on their new base, which is beneath Barbara's apartment building, and she's trying to make it almost like a vanishing point within the internet where no one can detect anything. There's like no footprint from it in terms of looking at anything or traffic sources in or out. It's completely invisible. And Steph's just bored. Steph's just like, please give me some sort of crime to go fight.
She's definitely just been going around placing all those buckets, catching the leaks.
Yes, that is definitely what's been happening. And again, reinforcing the atmosphere. Just subtle ways in this panel to set the scene. No one's talking about it.
But it's just there the whole time.
So basically an alert goes off at the place where Nick's investigating this crime, And again, it's really fun where, she's like, oh, finally, a crime. And, Babs is like, oh, well, I'm just offended. So it's just, their banter. I like the pacing joke at the bottom where she's like, anything I can get while I'm out. And she's like, maybe an ear fern. And there's just this, the panel of her, or just blank face. And then the blank face again, just saying, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it is that extra panel of just... Because it's the same panel just repeated, just with the word box.
But that's what makes it funny. But if it was just there the once, let's say it was just one wide panel, the same shot, but just like with more dead space in the sides, it wouldn't be that funny. The fact that there's the blank version first without the dialogue is what makes that funny.
It's absolutely that pause that makes it. Cause like I say, it would be fine. It would still function and it would be fine, but I don't think it would be as funny as it is here, where it is that extra pause that makes it pop.
And we discover essentially what's happening, and this ultimately is the calculator, but there's like phone calls that are possessing people with what looks like nanotech of some kind. The woman who was helping Nick at the company gets essentially possessed. I mean, that's a weird word to use because possession usually implies demonic.
This was the inspiration for Deceased.
Yes. Tom Taylor stole from this, stole from the best.
Yeah.
And so Nick encounters this other employee who's stealing this bit of tech. That whoever's possessing these people, again, we know it's calculated from later in the issue, but whatever they're wanting, this guy's getting. And Nick's almost shot. Batgirl shows up, and I did not believe the callback here. I was not expecting this at all. Where Nick goes, "Hey you," and she's like, "Hey you." It's like, it's what you said when. Oh, never mind. And do you know what? This was unbelievably relatable. The amount of times in my life that I think, oh, I'm at that point of repertoire with someone because they said this thing to me at some point before, so I'll reuse it like a week later or something, only for them to go, what are you talking about? Like they don't remember saying it to me in the first place. This was super relatable. Super relatable.
I mean, if you say so. I thought it was funny. I didn't find it that relatable though.
It's funny, but it's also very relatable. The big guy, though, who's been possessed, jumps out the window, and Steph jumps with her, their grapple, and she hooks onto him, and she's really struggling, though, because this is a big guy, he's a big, bulky guy, and Nick runs up to try and help, but the bat hook just kind of slips out off the guy's foot, and he falls to his death. So we actually get this really dark beat here, and it's really sold, because, she punches the wall in anger, and then when it cuts to the next scene, the same page, and they're at the morgue, like trying to find out what happened to him, what did this to him. She's in the back and she's all in shadow, and not only is she in shadow and there's no detail in her, but there's a shadow behind her. It really feels like there's been so many times in this book so far where she tries to pretend she's like Batman, or she tries to be broody, or she tries to be in shadow. This is maybe the first time where it feels genuine, where it really feels like there's a dark sort of cast over her.
I think what's interesting is I didn't get that mood from it at all. For me, she's there in the background, and she's got her arms crossed. She's shrunken in. She's just not wanting to be there almost.
Oh no, that's true as well. I don't mean that in opposition to what I said. I mean, like, that's there. I'm not saying that she's achieving the effect through the same means or the same the same thing that Batman projects. I'm saying that the solemn like inadvertently she's achieved kind of the same look in a way that doesn't feel like she's forcing it, because it's coming from this other place. It's coming from this place of guilt. It's coming from this place of wanting to hide.
Okay.
So she she's very upset. Babs is like, you have to move on. You have to keep thinking about what we're doing here, because there's no time to grieve right now. Some of what she says, some of what she has in her head, but she's looking at the tech on her end, and she recognizes it. And again, tying into the mood, the atmosphere of the book, she says, oh, it's like, thunder before lightning, or lightning before thunder, whatever way around makes sense. And she's like, I know what this is. And we cut to the calculator, who retrieves the item where the woman that he possessed from the company shows up. He tells her to kill herself. We don't see it, but again, it's just dark on its own. Oh no, we did kind of see it. The reason why I said that is because there wasn't like a page of her going to like do something to herself. The actual tech in her body just says expire, and she starts bleeding from the nose. So we do actually kind of see it. That makes it even darker. It's
the idea that she doesn't even have to do anything.
Yeah. But basically, he's got his dead son there. He's got Wendy's brother, and like he's talking to him. He's like, "Oh, we're going to get your sister back. We're going to save Wendy, and then we're going to kill Oracle." And that's the cliffhanger of the book. So.
Yeah, and just the one beat you passed over was that it's Babs. It's Apocalypse tech.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's Apocalypse Tech, which he's been tinkering with. So
yeah, that can't possibly end badly.
yeah. No, I think that decision is really strong, and it does this thing where it's so fun and bubbly and so likable with Steph and interactions with everyone, and then it has this dark moment where she can't save someone. You know, in contrast to that opening scene where I was talking about how it's technically this very serious threat, but it always feels bubbly, it always feels fun and like an action adventure. And then you get to this beat where the guy drops from the window and she can't save him, and every page after that feels like it has this solemn mood. It really shifts, and you feel the weight of it. You feel how much it affects Steph. And then, you know, just those little things. We talked about the transition being phrased a little bit differently to match the theme, to all these little things. The pause to make that joke funny, when before it had been a fine kind of ending to the scene. You know, it made it this really funny thing. It's all these little touches on top of just the solid foundation of the story.
Yeah, it's a great issue. The art is fantastic, as has been the usual for Garbett on this series. I think I have one critique of the art. It's more a panel layout choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the big guy is pointing the gun at Nick, and there is a panel where she throws a batarang at his hand to knock the gun out of it, and it's kind of just in this yellow bat is the panel. Like it's kind of this pop-up yellow bat, and I think it doesn't really flow. It took me out because I see the yellow bat and have to acknowledge that and then look inside as to what's actually happening. And it didn't have the flow to it that I'm used to in this book. It was a little bit clunky for me.
I don't have that problem. I guess I'm just not. My eyes just aren't drawn to the yellow like some people's are.
I think it's because it's such a bright yellow color when all of the last couple of pages have been this, like, you know, greens and blues, all this faded colors. So this pops, so my eyes go straight to it. So I'm looking at the yellow before I'm looking at what's inside of it. And I think that's just the wrong way around. I should be reading that beat personally.
All right. Really good stuff, though. What are you giving it?
It's an 8.5.
I'm going to go 9. That's a straight 9 for me.
It's a positive one.
It's doing great stuff with the character. It's nailing these beats throughout, both fun and emotional. So I have very little to dock points, and like you say, the art's very good. So no, 9 out of 10 for me.